What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the best creative maps to help you improve in Fortnite in 2023. And this video is going to cover things for build mode, zero build mode, and just general Fortnite mechanics. So if you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below which map you're going to start playing, and all of the codes for these maps that I talk about will be linked down in the description below. So before we get into the maps themselves, I'm just going to talk about creative. Because surprisingly, there still are a lot of people that are very averse to playing creative. And the single one, biggest piece of advice, if I could only tell somebody one thing to help them get better at Fortnite, would be to play creative. Because it is just much more time efficient at getting in practice in-game. So think of like a typical BR match for a lot of players. 10 kills might be like a somewhat high kill game, for the average player. And in creative, and if you play a full BR match and you end up getting a 10 kill win, that's around 20 minutes or so, right? In creative, you can get in 10 engagements in less than 3 minutes. So it just accelerates your improvement vastly. And then same goes with the aim training maps, the editing maps, the building maps, all of that stuff. You can just get in so much more practice in a much more smaller time span. And not only can this be good for helping you get warmed up, which I think is important, because if you don't warm up before playing, we kind of already touched on how BRs can be somewhat slow paced and you don't get the most engagements. So let's say you don't take the 10 to 20 minutes to warm up, right? You play your first few games and then you're kind of lacking in those games. And then you're just playing bad for let's just say the first 3 to 4 games or so. So the time you could have taken to warm up is wasted. By not warming up, you end up wasting more time in the long run, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And also, if you do use creative to as a daily practice to warm up, not only are you going to go into your BR matches feeling better, you're also going to be getting much better in the long run. I played Fortnite since it came out. I didn't really start playing creative at all until Chapter 2, Season 1. And obviously I did improve over time in the game, but I really didn't see much improvement in my gameplay from late Chapter 1 until I started playing creative consistently in Chapter 2. So I feel like a lot of people kind of can get to a decent point without it, but you're going to plateau, and it is just a much more time-efficient way to practice in-game. I often see people be like, yeah, I don't have 6 hours a day to spend in creative. And it's the opposite. If you wanted to improve using BR only, it's going to take much longer than if you improved in creative. So creative is much more time-efficient. It's just much less, less at stake, and there's just less time wasted, I feel in creative. So I would highly recommend playing creative if you aren't someone that has done so already. The first map we're going to talk about is going to be Raiders Edit Practice Map. There are countless edit maps out there, and this map is fairly simple, and it's a pretty old map, but I like that it's super simple. There's just a bunch of structures all next to each other out in the open, and you can practice editing them, and there's a lot of just routine edits, or the same edit over and over again. And if you're someone who's been playing the game for a really long time and you're a really good player, this map probably isn't going to be for you. But if you're a newer player or someone that isn't as used to editing, or someone that's trying to get used to new keybinds, I feel like this map could be really good for you. So that's why I brought it up in this video. If you're a newer player trying to get into build mode and you want to learn how to edit, I feel like this map is just perfect. There's so many simple edits that you can practice. There's more complicated ones, and there's just all around this map, there's so many different edits. There are more advanced editing courses out there for more advanced players, but I feel like if you are an advanced player, you've been playing the game for a lot, you probably want to practice editing just while free building. That way you can kind of get that fluidity down of building and editing and kind of doing those things in the middle of a fight, because when it comes down to a build fight, building and editing are used synonymously. So just practicing edit in an edit course setting is very different than free building. I feel like free building is much better for better players, but if you're someone who's newer, you're just starting out, that can be pretty complicated to do, and there's just a lot going on. So I feel like learning how to edit on these little edit courses is much better for newer players or players learning new keybinds. So that's why I mentioned this map. It's good for new to intermediate players, and if you're a more advanced player, you probably just want to practice editing and building at the same time, and getting blueprint editing down, because for a lot of players it does feel very different. The next map is going to be Xerx's aim and mechanics map. There's a bunch of different rooms in this map. There's actually edit courses within this map. There's a free build section in this map. The main room I like using on this map is the shotgun room. So there's targets on the wall. When you shoot them, the target moves to another spot, basically like Kovacs, and currently it has the Thunder Shotgun and the Maven Shotgun, but I've been using this map for a while, and the creator of this map does a really good job of keeping the shotguns in this shotgun room updated to what is currently in the game, which is nice. So pretty much always. I can't recall a time through all of Chapter 3 where they just had the wrong guns in it. Usually when there's an update that changes the loot pool in BR, they update the guns in this map. And there is a target or a time trial mode where you shoot that, and then you'll have to shoot the targets, and then there's also like kind of like beams of energy that are kind of forced towards you, and then you have to dodge them while shooting the targets. And then you can also place a wall here and practice your like wall edit shots resets. Getting that timing down of making an edit, hitting your shot with a right shoulder peek, resetting the wall, and then doing so again is really nice, and you can get in a lot of like practice in this room doing that. There are like more medium range rooms on this map where you can practice like AR aim, but I don't really do that. I really just use this room for the shotgun course. But if you want to practice your AR aim or tracking, this can be a good place to do so. And with any of these creative maps, one of the more important things you do is practice playing correctly, because when you're shooting targets at this wall or making like edits, shooting a target and then resetting it, you can make the biggest edits ever because you're not in any danger, right? But what you practice and like the habits you build in creative will transfer to BR. So practice making good edits, small right shoulder peek edits, so you can have the advantage in game. If you practice bad habits in creative, those bad habits are going to show in your gameplay. If you practice good habits in creative and force yourself to play right, even though you're playing against dummies, that will improve you in the long run. And that is going to be very important for the next map, which is going to be Raiders Peace Control map. I think this is the V3 version. This is one of the best creative maps out there. If you only use one map in this video, the Raiders Peace Control map is probably the best one. So Peace Control is a very important aspect in build mode, just getting building pieces on the opponent and limiting their options in a fight and making sure you have edit priority on the pieces in the fight is a super big deal. And this map has several different scenarios where you can just drill them over and over again. So you spawn, you piece the dummy, you shoot the dummy, and then you respawn immediately back where you spawned. There's no like loading time or loss of anything. All the builds are gone, and you can just rinse and repeat this over and over again. And it's very good for getting that muscle memory down. And there are several rooms in this map, like I said, and you can get so many drills in very quick. You can play one of these scenarios for 2 minutes, and you might have killed the dummy like 50 times. Like, you can actually do it so quickly once you get it down. This map is a very, very good practice, and there's a bunch of different scenarios, like I said. Even if you only spend like 5 minutes a day per scenario, or like 10 minutes total on this map a day, you will see a lot of improvement in your gameplay in like a 1 to 2 week period. I feel like when I quit Fortnite, I quit for most of Chapter 2. And then I came back in Chapter 2, Season 8. Peace Control was something that had really kind of developed, and the average player had gotten much better at it over the course of Chapter 2. And this map was one I used a lot to get better at the game again when I started playing Fortnite late in Chapter 2. So those are going to be like the 3 main like mechanic maps, or like, maps that you just kind of play by yourself and practice things. And then the next maps are going to be maps where you fight players on. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Pit. This is actually a very popular map, and the reason why I chose this one is because I know that not everybody that watches my videos is the most cracked player. Odds are if you're watching this video, you're not someone who's already insane at the game. You're someone who's trying to get better. The Pit has a wide variety of skill levels of players. I play it pretty much every day just to warm up. It's not the best players, but you can get in a lot of fights very quickly, which is what I'm looking for. Sometimes there's good players, sometimes there's average players, sometimes there's bad players. You get a nice mix of player skill in the Pit, I think. And you just get into a lot of fights. There's a lot of players on this map. There's no penalty for dying, so you can just rinse and repeat engagement after engagement. And like I was talking about at the start of the video, you can get in like 30 engagements in a 15-minute period in this map, no problem. Or you can get 30 kills. I don't even know how many engagements it would be if you count the deaths. But the point stands. You can get in so many fights and the time it would take to play a single BR match in this map that you're just advancing your improvement so much. Like, one of the things that really changed the skill gap in Fortnite and made it to where everybody seemed much better overnight was creative, because it made it much more efficient for players to practice. So you can just get in so many fights in a fast time span in the Pit. Like I said, it's not the best players all the time, but that's not really what I'm looking for in a warm-up map. Just being able to get into a bunch of fights over and over and over again, I think is really nice. And the next map is going to be the same way. There's an Anvil Square TDM map. It's made by the same person who made the Coney Crossroads deathmatch last chapter, and they basically recreated Anvil Square in creative, and then you can go here and fight people. And one of the biggest pieces of criticism I saw when I made a video on that Coney Crossroads deathmatch map in the past was people complaining about their kills getting stolen, or like they get third-partied because it's so chaotic. That doesn't matter. What you want to do in here is just practice fighting and practicing mechanics. Don't care about whether or not you win the match. Who cares if you get first or you get last? It's for practice. You just want to get, muscle memory of aiming down and tracking other players, practicing your strafe, practicing swapping weapons. I know a lot of players kind of struggle to use the thunder shotgun, swap to their spray weapon, whatever it is, and then swap back to the thunder shotgun. Those are the things that you want to get down in this game mode. I have a clip here, or I'll have a scoreboard here of what I played it. I played it twice, I think. And the second time, I didn't end up winning the game, but I think I got like 20 kills and like a significant amount of assists as well. I think it was like 50 engagements in a less than 10-minute period. Think of how many times you play BR and how many games it would take for you to get 50 kills in total. That's going to be much more like time invested to get that many engagements in BR compared to this creative map where I got it in like less than 10. So that is the point in this. Just getting in a lot of fights, rinse and repeat, practice aiming, practice strafing, practice, weapon swapping, getting used to fighting players. A lot of people who are kind of new to BRs get very nervous fighting. And this, I feel like playing creative and fighting people in creative, I think is the best way to get over that sort of thing. So Anvil Square is great for 0 build players. The Pit is great for build players. And then there's also countless 1v1 map, box fight maps, zone wars for both builds and 0 builds. You can just look up zone wars maps or box fight maps, 1v1 maps, whatever. They all, like 1v1 and box fights are all pretty much the same. Zone wars do a bunch of different things. There's also realistics out there. But yeah, there's a bunch of creative mini games. I just wanted to highlight 2 game modes where you guys can fight, the Anvil Square TDM and the Pit. But there is a vast amount of game modes out there where you can practice your mechanics and practice fighting players in game. And like I said, if you aren't playing creative at all and you want to get better, spend 20 minutes a day. That's like 1 BR match worth of time. You will get much more experience in that 20 minutes playing these, like the mechanic maps or the fighting maps. You will get more experience in that time playing those than you would in like 10 games of BR, I feel like. So it's just a much more efficient way to practice. And if you actually do want to improve, playing creative is the best way. As I said earlier, give the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.